Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzzers! Welcome to another UnREAL After Show. I'm your host, Sam Davidson. Tonight we're going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 5, Truth. If you guys haven't done so already, please go on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, rate, review, subscribe. We really appreciate hearing all the comments you have. And tonight is a very special night because we have a very special guest here in the studio, Mr. Josh Kelly, who is Jeremy.
Hi.
It's very exciting. I am thrilled.
Special.
Yeah, I'm probably a little bit more excited than these guys, but they're all right. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
What's going on, guys? Bobby DeMuro.
What's going on, guys? I'm Nicholas Grava.
So, let's talk about this awesome episode.
Yes.
I think there's only been 5, and each one I say it's going to be like one of my top 2.
Yeah.
But this one is true. It was written really well. There was a lot of storylines going on. What did you guys think?
I had one big problem with it. I will wait until we get there to talk about it. But other than that, I did like a lot of the storylines.
Bitter Bobby. Here we go.
I like it when you start off like that.
I'm gonna be the truth teller here, while y'all can do whatever. It's not your scenes. It's actually it's Faith's story. But I'll talk about that when we get there.
You love Faith.
I do love Faith.
I know. I loved it. I'm with you. I think this again has built up to, I would say, one of the best episodes of the season. So I was really happy with it. Wait till Bobby has to start here.
Tear it apart. Just eviscerated with
There's this guy,
critiques.
the guy who plays Jeremy. Here's my deal. Nothing he does on there is believable. No, I'm kidding.
Have you ever heard the word hack?
You did walk in here with a Diet Mountain Dew, so.
I did.
I know.
It was diet, though.
Called out right there. Wow.
I know, I couldn't help it. Well, Bobby.
Yes.
Do you have anything to say about
Actually,
driving?
yeah. We'll do this now, guys. So, because we want to get this up top so you guys are hearing it. Obviously, we give you guys a lot of free content here at AfterBuzz TV every week. Hundreds of shows literally all year, including UnREAL. And if you want to support us, if you want to help us, one way you can do that is support our sponsors and our partners. One of those sponsors is Mazda. Question for y'all. Every one of you, I guess. Does driving matter to you at home? There are over 4 million miles of road in the U.S. to find out. That is a lot of ground to cover. A lot of highways, freeways, wrong ways, and long ways. And they are all there waiting to be driven on. So, do you take the left turn at Albuquerque, or do you just keep going? Do you wake up early on a Sunday morning for a drive before the traffic does, or do you take the long, winding road home for a change? If driving matters to you, just get out and drive. Why? Well, because driving matters. Mazda. And thank you to them. Let's talk about the driver of this show, which...
I had a Mazda MPV in high school.
Did you?
It's a multi-purpose vehicle.
What does that mean?
It's a van, but also an SUV. It's one of the best vehicles ever.
Really?
Yeah, Mazda MPV.
Was this in 1981?
It was in the 60s.
Oh, that was a hell of a time.
Yeah, it was a great...
It was a good time to grow up.
It was a great time to have a
I really need to get your
multi-purpose
plastic surgeon's number.
Sleep a lot. Drink even more.
Well, let's get into tonight's episode, which, like I said, has so many different storylines. So before we get to the juicy stuff, let's start off with one of the smaller storylines, but I thought was one of the most realistic we've seen thus far, is Mary and Shia, this whole producer and then producee. Was it you, Nick, that said that you were expecting Mary to, or was it you, Bobby, to kind of outsmart these people?
I think I said something about her career. She's a lawyer, right? Isn't she the one that's a lawyer?
No, I think
She's
Johanna Braddy plays the lawyer.
I was expecting some sort of pullback of saying, you've just met these people, the producers in general. So these people just to give all that trust, I was always surprised by that aspect.
Yeah.
I feel like it happens way more, way more than you would think it would.
Really?
Because I think people just they get. I talked to someone about it. It's remember when you were a kid and cameras were rare, and someone brings up a camera, everyone starts acting like girls show their breasts, guys show their butt. Like, you do things that you wouldn't do, but it's the allure of the camera. The lens just draws you in, and people are willing to trust and go way overboard than what they normally would, and then it becomes their life. The reality. I am very fascinated with reality TV.
Well, and this is
scripted.
This is
unscripted.
Yeah, this and this is a show about the people who do reality. It's not just a quote-unquote normal person who wants to shun a camera, live a private life. These people sought this out. The people on The Bachelor and the real reality show seek this out.
Which adds another layer of another level of I'm willing to
go there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we really touch upon that in this episode, but like with the Mary and Shia thing, it was upsetting because I mentioned before, Mary says she doesn't drink, but we don't know why, and she says there's a difference between being an alcoholic and not drinking. Mm-hmm. Real fast, Shia got her to turn, and then she switched her pills.
That's a messed up. That's jail stuff.
Which has happened to a friend of mine on a production. Yes.
Okay, so
they didn't switch it. They stole her. They like took her meds that were meds, like because they thought that she was abusing her medicine.
Yeah.
And that producers really think
wow.
Like, not even just on reality. This is actually in a movie. Like, producers feel like they're the puppet master, and I mean Kubrick used to mess with his actors, and it's weird how far people will go to get their performance.
See, to me, that's interesting because we've talked about this on the show, saying, and we wondered, I guess I'm asking you, do you guys as actors on the show have fun with this because you're portraying the behind the scenes folks? Do you say, you know what, this is how these guys really act? Does this show a representation of a production?
I think we all take it we just treat it like any performance. Like it's okay. This is my character. This is his motivation, and that way we don't have to worry about. It's our producers. Yeah, our producers making us. But I mean, it's their responsibility to make sure that and they're amazing at it. But to make sure that we're playing it the right way. But for us, I think it would be too much to really think about. So it's mostly just my character, and this is his intention. This is what.
Well, do you ever look behind you and you're like, "Whoa, me and you are wearing the same outfit, camera dude"?
I did get a lot of respect from the crew. They really liked Jeremy. They were like, "You're such a good actor." I was like, "Well, I'm playing a camera guy. I feel like you might be relating a little bit, which is fine. I'll take it."
I love it. Okay, so let's then get into Quinn and Chet briefly, which is a very, very important part of the show in general. And we've had our predictions about how their relationship and what happens with them, how that's going to kind of spiral into something big at the end of the season.
I was so happy for her to finally take a stance, and when the first meeting with the lawyer was happening, I wasn't sure if it was the other business partner at the time was forcing it, or if she was really into it. And then as it started to grow, I was team Quinn during this whole part. I've been waiting for that moment.
How could you not be, though? I think Chet's done enough, and he's likable because he's kind of goofy, but he's also manipulated and done enough where we're not supposed to like him, right? I mean, does anybody have any sympathy for Chet?
Well, I would think you would. You're like Chet's biggest.
You are.
I
a
am.
fan. He's a big fan.
I'm kind of.
Your team Chet.
Yeah, I kind of am.
What is this? What am I surrounded? Team Chet.
Listen, the two best looking guys on the panel are Team Chet. Let's be real about this.
Let's be unreal about it. I've just always liked Craig Bierko. Like, he's such a good actor. I was super stoked when he got cast when we were actually shooting the series. And so it's hard for me to not be Team Chet. But I think the character does have redeeming qualities. And episode 5 shows he gives up.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, you know what? You're right. I do love you. She does deserve 40% of a $1 billion empire, which means he does, actually. He's just kind of been doing what he knows how to do and in the way that he knows how to do it. He's married, but he loves another woman.
And don't discount, I don't think, the business side of it, where he says, is it worth it to me to go to court or negotiate outside or whatever, or is this the best producer in the business, which is what we keep getting fed as viewers. You know what, 40% is a ton. I've already made a ton. 60% or whatever his stake is still a ton. I'm going to cut my losses, keep her.
And he needs her.
Yeah.
Like, he knows he needs her on his side.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
40% is,
Well,
That's worth it to me. But it's easy to say if you had Chet money to begin with.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
where was this guy Bill that, was supposed to be part of the lawsuit that got thrown out very fast, which in turn turned into, something else completely?
I said it last
J.R.
week.
Bourne's character?
Yeah. Because he was supposed to have, it was him and Quinn that they
Right.
said
So
created it.
where does that
Listen,
go to
I said
him?
this last week. He was just a catalyst. I know you don't want to give us a lot of spoilers, although you could. But I think he's just a catalyst to drive this lawsuit. I don't know if we'll see him significantly later. I think Quinn's got enough interesting storylines within the show. And now still with Chet, with the I love you on that thing, why keep bringing Bill back? I want to see what happens with the I love you and with the 40%
Well,
there.
when he left the room, even after accepting her deal, you could see she was very upset still.
She's a good actress.
Right, exactly.
Constance Zimmer is.
She's amazing.
I'm not just saying that to sound nice. It's so good to watch her. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And I, as a woman, I did feel for her. Even, he's such a jerk. And, he said, what did he say? He called her kid or something.
kiddo.
Which is kind of whatever. But it's like it was an endearing moment that you really saw that Chet does love her. And then him walk away, and it was sad.
Yeah.
But it's messed up. We shouldn't think that's sad. She just got what she wanted, and it looks like he might leave her alone.
I don't know if that's what she wanted, though. I think, yes, that's what she was saying she wanted, but I don't. When he left and she said, this is the first time you said I love you, this is supposed to mean something, and he didn't give her anything back, I think that's truly what she wants. She just wants him.
It's like the Han Solo. It's, I love you. I know.
Yeah, then you're right.
You can have the show. I know.
And it comes the kiddo comes right after that. This is the only time you said this. You wrote this on this thing. I'm sorry, kiddo. It's such a, I know, and maybe he doesn't intend to do that. Chet's not intending to come off that way, but it's so dismissive, especially when she's in a position of vulnerability. And so she says, okay, I got 40%, I got the show, this is fine for my career, whatever. That's not actually the thing I came for 2 and 3 weeks ago, but it's where we are now. Got to make do. And next week we'll do whatever we do with those two.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff happens.
What do you think? Okay,
Seriously.
let's see what he says to this. Let's see what Josh says to this. So I think that Chet's gonna die. I've said it a couple times because they keep on putting little, just...
He doesn't have any health problems, does he? Have they alluded to that?
a couple times they've alluded to some health and drug issues, so, I think it's a definite possibility, but I don't know. And if that happens, then, Quinn's character is gonna be so devastated, and it's just interesting.
I don't know. What do you have anything to say about that?
I wouldn't want to get rid of Craig Bierko on a show. Yeah. He's just too good. Yeah. I mean, I guess
I think he offers something really for the storyline. He offers a lot of pushback for Quinn, and something that he's the above authority. So without him, it would really change the dynamic of that storyline, which I think would be challenging. And again, he is entertaining to watch on there and does offer a lot of things for it. So I don't know if I agree with that or see that coming.
I don't know. I mean, he's kind of like the Godfather, though. So I guess you can't kill him.
Not until
the end.
Not until the third.
The third, yeah. There needs to be 3 more seasons till Chet dies. So, all right, let's get into what this show is really, this episode specifically, was mainly about, which was the Faith storyline, which is why I'm so surprised, Bobby, you did not love this episode.
Can you do? I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, okay.
Let's just get into it.
Just rip it.
I have spent a day or two in the South in my life. Really longer than a day or two. I've spent a lot of time in the South. The South is very conservative. The South is very socially conservative. This, I think, was too stereotypical. I'm going to get torn away from my church. My entire family is going to disown me. Everything bad is going to happen to me. And I'm not saying that it's not incredibly difficult to come out in the South, but I am saying it's not that cut and dry. They kept going over the top about Mississippi and the Deep South, and it's so conservative here, and this is going to be so terrible, and this is going to ruin my life. I know that somebody coming out is going to have those feelings, but I kept getting hit with it again and again and again. And I'm saying, wait a second. I know a lot of people who have come out in the South, and there has been pushback. Not everybody's like, oh, hey, this is great. But it's not what you would think. And I have a feeling, and we'll never know now, but had Faith finished that speech on the microphone, there would have been gasps and shocks, and Gran would have been shocked a little bit, but it wouldn't have been nearly as bad as she thought. And I don't know. I felt it was a little too stereotypical, and I hate it when people take the South and say, this is what it is. Everybody is the same down there. This is how it is. It's not that black and white. That's my one issue with this episode.
Okay, that's fair.
I think you're right and wrong. Like,
yeah,
I do. I mean, I think, yes, ideally, on the reality show of UnREAL, it would have been better if Faith had finished it, and then I don't think her parents would have been like disowned her, and that is really like the important thing, is to kind of let people know. But that, for storytelling wise, for the episode, it had to happen that way.
Oh, and I'm not mad she didn't finish it, and I understand the trope of doing that, and why you would say, you have to go to the South for this. If you go to New York City for this, oh well, if I come out, everybody's going to be mad. It's like, what are you talking about?
You get a party.
You got to go to Mississippi. But it just, coming from the South, it's like, damn it, that is so stereotypical, and it's not the case.
I think it is more of a case
for sure
than most people living in Los Angeles or New York,
100%,
or Chicago actually want to acknowledge, because we feel like we're away. My parents I lived in Columbus, Georgia. I was stationed at Fort Benning, and my parents retired there, and we were talking about, and I love my parents. They're super loving people, but they are stuck in certain ways. And I was talking on the ride over here, actually, I swear I'm not making this up, about how coincidental and how cool it was that the episode came out when right after the Supreme Court's ruling on, and I was like, and it's so cool, and they were like, well, but they illegally, and I was like, well, no, they legally did it because that's the law now, and that is the law, and they do. It's so funny that they are the nicest people in the world, but it's just stuck in their head that marriage is a man and a woman. And I'm like, well, why? Why is marriage a man and a woman? And for them, they're like, well, and they do. They're like, well, we have gay friends, and we just marriage is man and woman. Like civil unions. I'm like, well, and it's and this in the South, it's more supportive. It's more supported rather. It's just easier for them to. They're stuck. They're more stubborn.
And when you're on a TV show, you got 44 minutes, you got a lot of things to do. You can't say, well, here are the nuances of gay marriage in the South. Right? Here are the nuances of same-sex relationships. So I understand the reason you do that, but every time I see it, it's not this show. UnREAL is not alone in the way they portray the South, and they didn't do it egregiously bad, but it's enough for me, coming from there, to be like, damn it, it's more nuanced than this. I wish somebody would make it more nuanced than that, but it's tough to do when I think
it would have to be a specific show.
Yeah.
Like, that would have to be an
the
entire
thing.
Yeah. And that way you would be able to incorporate it, as you said, nuance.
And I'm not from Mississippi, so I guess I would probably take it a little more personally if it were Mississippi. If it were North Carolina, I would say, damn it, this is unacceptable. But even so, it doesn't matter, just that whole South thing. And the only thing I worry about, the last point, because I don't want to harp on this, because there's a lot there, but the Los Angeles, the New York, the coasts, the quote-unquote flyover states are one thing. The coasts, I worry that in LA and New York, people see this and that they say, oh, the damn South. They're all backwards. And it's like, no, a ton of them are. There's a ton. The South has more pushback on same-sex marriage than anywhere.
Yeah.
But a ton of them are not. That's the one thing I worry about how it gets portrayed. Right. And it's not unique to UnREAL.
Well, that makes sense to me. At the same time, like, there probably are towns like that. And so, what happens is they do it a bit differently than The Bachelor, which I appreciate this episode, because Adam gets to choose whose hometown he goes to first, and he chooses Faith because Rachel had secretly told him not to. So he did, and she did that on purpose, so he would choose Faith.
Yeah.
Reverse psychology. Pretty
Classic
Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny 101.
classic crazy. So they go, and Rachel sees a spark between Faith and her best friend, Amy, who's been taking care of her grandmother. But we find out, Faith's really never been kissed. She's never had sex. And Rachel has been trying to convince Faith to lose it to Adam before she realized that she was a lesbian, which is, very messed up. How old do we think Faith is?
56.
I think they're all early to mid 20s, except for Mary. Most are all 24, 25.
Yeah, I'd say mid 20, mid 30. Like.
Yeah. I mean, you love Faith. We all.
She's
love
my girl.
Faith.
Yeah.
And she wasn't hiding being a lesbian. She didn't really realize she was a lesbian until Rachel kind of took her on her lesbian spirit journey, and good for her. And Rachel tried to do a lot of good things in this episode to be a good person, basically for you
and get the show.
Yeah. But you were with, and I mean you as Jeremy, with Rachel when they go to the South, and she kind of wanted to impress you, Jeremy. And she, I think, and we've said this, and we've had a lot of people talk about it online, if she's really a good person or a bad person, or what are her intentions.
Okay, so that's what I always want, I think it's really common, but there was one moment when Faith said something, or I don't know if she did something, or what, and Rachel sort of tapped you, and usually that means get this on camera, but instead it was just look at appreciate this good moment.
When she kissed Amy.
That was me being yes, she is good. I really want her to be good. I'm banking on that.
That's why Jeremy likes her. In the beginning, he talks because he's afraid of what it does to her, because she had the meltdown in the first one, and that in the flashback of the first episode. And he knows that she's good. And he wants her to be good, and she wants to be good, but also she's good at being bad. And that's what a lot of people deal with in life. It's I'm really good at this.
Yeah.
And it's positive reinforcement, whether it's the bribes or whatever,
True.
Or just advancing in her career and getting the respect there. That does matter to Rachel, even though she's, you can make the argument she's still kind of dead inside from it. It still matters to her. She likes to do it. So, and I think with Rachel, the good or bad thing, we see it every episode, but we really see it today because the extremes came out. Super, super bad. Don't out a human. Don't do this. This is terrible. You're going to do it on national TV. You're going to affect your life a lot. And then it swings totally good. Yeah. She kind of rescues the thing with Adam's help at the end, but she rescues the thing, and not only that, you visibly see her moved, I think, for the first time. Has she cried before? Well, to her mother. She cried to her mom, but that was a little bit different.
The final scene of the show.
But
you love that scene, don't you?
That is a risque. I can't. I mean, when I was they actually got away with it. They actually put it on.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments in this show where I'm whoa, this should be on HBO. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So, Faith decides to not come out. And Adam saves her in a way with Rachel, which makes him more human as well.
Yeah. Or it validates how much he cares about Rachel, because he knew Rachel would be affected by this. Yeah. She was affected by it. So still don't know if he's a good... When he first showed up to Faith's house, her friend, at first I was is he going to hook up with the friend or something?
That's what I said, yeah.
That's where my mind went first. But yeah, I still don't know if he's good or if he just cares about Rachel.
That's actually interesting to hear. Yeah, I don't know.
And don't
you can't count on a Cromwell. That's all.
And don't discount too that he had to find out that Faith wasn't into him, and there's no chance for him, and there's nothing he was going to get, physical or otherwise. So then he was like, "Hey, if she's nothing to me in this transaction, okay,
what can I
help
get
her.
out of it?
Yeah, now I can help her, and if I can help her, and maybe I get something out of Rachel."
True.
Okay. If it was not a lesbian story, if Faith had something else going on, but she was still physically attracted to him, maybe he would have spun it another way and not been the good guy, but been well, hey, what can I get some, or can I get something else?
In exchange.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's very hard to read, and
He's British.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
It's just...
British and very attractive. So for me, I'm what do you guys mean? He's a good person.
I don't know about the attraction, but British for sure.
You
Anyways.
clearly haven't seen Pitch Perfect.
Yeah.
No, I have not.
Well, that
It's a
is
good
a
movie.
damn
It's a
shame.
good movie.
And Pitch Perfect 2 as well, just as good, if not
I haven't
better.
seen it yet. I liked one. I
Yeah.
haven't seen
Oh
two
no,
yet.
two's fantastic. Anyways.
Look, see what she did?
Yeah.
You're gonna need to own that one. Mm-hmm. This situation here.
What?
I'm just saying.
What'd you do?
Just these two talking about Pitch Perfect.
I know. Okay.
yeah.
You know what? We're
Oh,
back.
actually, I have something before we
I'm
move
down.
on from that
Yes,
scene.
yes.
Second stuff.
When Rachel was said to Faith, she was like, "Just say it once out loud." Did anyone's mind think like she wants a sound bite? She wants a sound clip of it, and I'm like,
I think it become like when you're your job, you're working your job, it becomes a part of your personality. It's almost a subconscious thing. It's not
True.
and so even when you're being good, you're subconsciously doing your job.
yeah.
Isn't that what Shia and then Quinn realized? Like, wait a second, real life lawsuit, produce Chet. Act like it's your job.
Yeah.
And Quinn didn't realize that at first, and then when she said, "Oh, I can produce him," it took 10 seconds. That's
Yeah.
how good they are at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you say? She could get someone to jump off a cliff or something?
Oh, I
Legally, of
love that.
course.
yeah.
I wrote
And
it
we're
somewhere.
actually last
You could
night
get
on
a
The
happy
Bachelorette.
person.
Perfectly happy person to
Perfectly
jump off a bridge. You're that great of a producer.
Yeah. I swear, I think The Bachelorette and Unreal are somehow working together. Because last night on The Bachelorette, some guy was crying so hard after he was dumped that it looked like he was going to jump off the cliff. And he was like, ah, looking at the ocean. And then a producer walked on and kind of was like, "You okay, dude? What's up?"
That scene last night.
I was gonna say, and does anyone on the cast or behind? Is it like, do you guys watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette? Do you guys have a knowledge of it?
My girlfriend watches The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. I had never watched it before. I researched reality like production, but I didn't watch The Bachelor. Probably should have in hindsight, but I feel like I did a good enough job. So we've through social media a bunch of bachelorettes and have become friends with me, and we've like gone to brunch and stuff.
Really?
And they are
Oh.
super fans of Unreal. Like,
Wow.
they're like, it is so like, and not that the show was at all based on that show, starting with a B and ending with a LR. It's called Everlasting. It's a suitor. He's not a bachelor. But there are some similarities, and those people and it's been really fascinating getting to meet
Wow.
some of these women and have them really enjoy the show and like it and tell us that it's just as it's maybe not even as far-fetched.
That's crazy.
That's got to be the biggest compliment, because we wonder about that every week.
Yeah.
We say, would this really happen? Does this really happen? You guys, you as an actor, you deal with narrative sets, so you're not on a Bachelor set in real
Yeah.
life. So to hear it from the people who have been on those sets, that's got to be like, we're doing okay. And maybe we should even go further.
That's what I'm saying. And to say that and not even that, like,
It's
wow.
crazy. And then that's what's the thing is, if I had seen The Bachelor before, I wouldn't have thought that we were going too far. And it is what happens on these shows. I mean I don't know if you guys, I've been telling this story a bit. Right before I auditioned for this show, I became friends with someone that was on a reality show, and I was taking a psych class at the time on like online college just for fun, snits and giggles. And I rewrote my thesis paper after she told me all this stuff. I wrote my thesis paper on how reality shows would be illegal if they were done as psychological experiments. The APA would just never. But throw some cameras, get a waiver, you can do anything you want. You can mess with people like anyway.
Yeah.
And so that it was really cool that this show came around and I auditioned because you do better when you care about. Obviously, it makes sense, but. I'm really happy to be a part of the show because it is a fascinating subject to me. People really are allowed to do anything. You throw some cameras
It's
on.
insane.
I'm actually real surprised it hadn't been done before. I know the satire was out there, the Burning Love and the kind of the comedies.
Yeah.
But
Which is amazing, by the way.
Yeah,
it is.
Burning Love's great. It's hilarious.
But I'm surprised they didn't do a serious one like this.
like a newsroom for.
Yeah. I was expecting actually to be
Hire
a little
Constance
funnier. I was expecting a little more comedy and a little less gravity. And once I got into it, I was like, okay, this is what it should be. This is good.
I think it was supposed to, I think because they hired me to be funny originally, and then I was like, I don't think this is a comedy anymore. feeling this is pretty dark. Not sure.
Well, I'm sure that the producers and the writers and everything had to deal with how is this gonna. It can't be that funny because it can't be Burning Love, which is still to this day one of my
Great
favorite.
show.
I want them to do another one. Like I love it. At the same time, though, I feel like why people have not done this yet is because I've watched The Bachelor and The Bachelorette since I was 12, and I know
4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago. Thank you so much. And to, think that this whole time, everything me and my mom have been watching together is this freaking messed up is like a really dark place to take people. And that, I mean, I'm a very sensitive person. I don't want to have been watching all these people's lives.
You don't
want
to feel like you're a part of it.
Right.
Exactly.
That's the whole point of the show. Is like Jeremy, the camera guy, that's his thing. And everyone has their little boundaries, and they're like, well, I'm not really a part of it. I'm not, and I'm just doing my job.
Yeah.
And then you tuning in, you're just
Right.
doing your job. It's relief. It's relaxing. It's fine. I'm not really creating this.
Yeah.
It's dark. It's crazy.
And it is, and in the back of everyone who's watched The Bachelor and Bachelorette religiously, they know, like, this is terrible, but it's so entertaining. And I actually showed the show to my mom, who was in town last week, and I was like, and she, loves The Bachelor and Bachelorette. She was really upset by the show.
I think that's what a lot of people. I only know now when I go back and I'm watching reality TV. Like, it's only been a couple of years with it. It's even like we cover the Kardashians, and it's only come to a certain point when I'm like, okay, this is all fake. They know there's cameras here. This is you know what I mean? Like, I think there's still a good amount of people that take this for exactly what it is and think it's 100% real. Don't see the negative producing things behind the scenes. They just think it is what it is, and they're just watching people in front of cameras. For me, it's the part that, like you said, like when the producers are doing things, that's what makes me feel almost guilty as a viewer when I think, oh my gosh, am I, even the people that buy the tabloids type of thing. I don't know.
I believed. I actually, a long, long time ago, I remember thinking, justifying The Bachelor. Several years ago, I was like, well, how many people do you date? Like, how many people do you date? And if you're actually trying to find love, if you have a group of 30 people that are hand-selected, in my naive mind, I was like, that are hand-selected, that are awesome for you, then maybe you will actually be able to find the person you love. And I didn't think about the fact that they're not just like, this is why movies, my dad used to get mad about watching military movies. He'd be like, that would never happen. And then after I got out of the military, I started noticing, I was like, that would never happen. Oh, it's a movie though. It has to be entertaining. Otherwise, we could just, it would just be boring to have a camera watching people do, everyone gets along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's tuning into that.
And look, the first season of Real World, or one of these first reality shows 20 years ago, at that point, I assume you had to produce the hell out of it because it was brand new. You're like, well, you're going to be you on camera, but we have to do something interesting, so here's what we need to do. I think after so many generations of these shows, people who go on The Bachelor or Bachelorette or anything else now, it's not just that you have to produce them. They go on ready to be produced. They go on to be the star. They go on to play the role.
Yeah.
Some of them may come on like a Faith here, who's very ignorant, just being herself. What do you mean we have to do this? But I think a lot of them go on and say, this is the character I'm going to play. I know that I'm typecast.
Dancing with the Stars.
Exactly.
I'm using this. I have watched The Bachelorette recently, and there was a guy leaving. While he's leaving, is like, I would be the perfect bachelor. He didn't do it to find love. He did it to become the bachelor, and I mean, that's becoming. It's changing the paradigm of what reality shows are. They're not just, and people think they can win. And our show talks about that. The show wins.
Right. Yeah.
The show will always win.
But that's what's dangerous, is because these people think they can win, they don't believe they're being taken advantage of, or maybe they're not being taken advantage of because they're pushing stuff more than producers. That's what gets so scary, because a generation ago you say, well, these producers are overreaching. Now, because it's so ubiquitous in this culture, the people are doing this. Producers, and I don't know this, but perhaps producers are saying, oh my, you're the perfect person. You do you.
Right.
It's going to work out. That's almost worse.
Yeah.
Because those people, those contestants then don't draw the line. When the camera goes off, that still is who they are.
True.
Yeah, I mean, it's a vicious cycle, and it's complicated, and I love that UnREAL is tackling this kind of like taboo thing that not really a lot of people talk about, what these people are really like, what happens to them, and Rachel is a character, this producer. She has too big love in. She's very torn, especially in this episode. And because, we find out that what happens is that she, after Faith gets on stage and tries to come out, and then you realize she's just not ready, Amy, her friend, isn't ready, is just gonna fail and it's gonna be terrible. Adam runs up and looks like he's proposing, but he's just asking her to stay another
I thought he was
week.
gonna propose. I'm like, where's this bring us?
Jesus. And, so they kind of save her. And at this point, Adam and Rachel are protecting Faith. They're both on Team Faith. And so Rachel calls Jay to, kind of reason with him, saying, do you know what it felt like coming out? Say, don't let these logs be seen. They keep, destroy them, whatever you have to do. And he gives them to Chet because he just, can't stop kissing his ass.
Jay's dirty, man. Even without the ass kissing to Chet, Jay's dirty, and I like it.
Yeah.
He's low-key really not a good dude, and that's cool.
But he keeps it low-key, though. He's like, oh, I'm chill. No, you're not.
I never got to watch any of those scenes, really, when they were shooting. And I really am enjoying seeing the conference, the control room scenes. And Jeffrey Bauer Chapman.
Yeah.
He's so good. He's so good at the scene in the limo in episode 3 or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
He's a really good actor.
He almost literally slithers in like a snake. He's real smooth. He's got that look to him. His head's always kind of cocked. He's got a real smooth, intonation with his voice, and you're like, this dude is not.
But I'm so happy they have a character like that on there, because on a film set, behind the scenes, a low-key producer trying to work his way up or get seen in any way looking for himself. I mean, as if that's not fairly realistic too.
I just remembered something that's coming up in one of the episodes. You
can feel free, just share.
No
Go ahead.
idea.
Is Adam gonna have sex with him too?
Nobody.
You guys, I remember when we read Freddie and I, because Freddie and I were roommates in Vancouver. And we read the episode together at the same time, and I was like, page 43, what page are you on? What page are you on? And he was like, I'm on 40. And I was like, you got 3 pages, bro. You got 3 pages, you're gonna... And he was just like, oh, no. It is. We were on the show. We were.
Wow.
I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. We'll log this card, put a new one in, and then we can give it to you after the show. You can do whatever you want with it. You can tell us what happens.
Your mics are off. As we can hear it on our headphones. All right, so basically Rachel and Adam have their first super almost kiss, right? But she says to him, you're my friend, right? You're my only friend right now. So, and you could tell she wants it. And she wants to know that he wants it too.
I don't know. For the first time, I really questioned that. I always thought it, but after your scene with, I feel like the reason she didn't want it was because of your character, and because that, and then that leading to the ending scene when that's the only thing for her right now. That's it.
And Adam came on real forcefully, just putting both hands around her, kind of trapping her in, and that's a specific choice. And when he did that, I was like, this is not, I don't feel safe anymore for Rachel. I feel a little, I know nothing's going to happen really, that would be a real turn, but I'm still a little concerned.
I think he felt he deserved it, that's why.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, this is the thing. I've never really thought that much about Adam's character. I thought about Jeremy's opinion of Adam's character. It sounds so actory.
Adam's,
but that is all I really have thought about.
Adam's character hasn't thought about Adam's character either. There's not a ton going on.
I think he actually does. I mean, he's working. He's looking out for himself. But he doesn't have any strengths, so why not? And you can't really fault him. I guess you can. Yes, you can. You can fault him.
Well,
But she's conflicted because she does. I mean, she did me wrong. She did me wrong.
Okay, so can we talk about that? What the hell happened, Jeremy? Yeah, see, it makes you nervous. What happened?
My diet mountain.
But, okay, so let's talk about Rachel and Jeremy, which is a very central point of the show. However, it's not covered as much. They leave a lot to our imagination about what happened with them. Do you know, it's in Mexico.
Yeah.
Dot. Constantly.
That's never a good story in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I got arrested one time and they planted drugs on me. I swear to
Oh,
God.
I
Wait,
believe
really?
Were
you.
you on that? Were you on that National Geographic show?
No.
Locked Up Abroad or whatever.
Oh, I see.
I
that.
almost was, apparently.
Rachel is lucky
What?
she did not get locked up abroad.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
my buddy
she was
and I,
lying.
yeah.
Where were you in Mexico?
TJ.
See, there you go.
We weren't doing anything wrong, though.
Yeah,
doesn't
but that's the
matter.
Just trying to
Well,
get home.
That's like easy pickings
Just
down
I
there.
know.
You gotta
I know.
go deeper.
I had like long curly hair, was fat, and just got out of the army. I was like, life is great. And they were like, haha.
Oh my gosh.
so can you really tell us at all about like what actually went down in Mexico?
I think the important part about Jeremy and Rachel is they were best friends. Like, they worked together and they got along. Like, they made jokes. They kind of made fun of their job. You know, like that person. Like when you're working, you don't really want to be doing this,
Right.
and you find that person that you just get along with, and they always kind of toyed around with maybe dating. This is at least what and this is partially what I think the writers also and the creator thought. And so Mexico was crazy set, like going to a crazy place and magic night, and it turned into, oh, we're just gonna hook up. But then it was, shit. I don't know if I can. I apologize.
No, you
Yeah, it's
absolutely
fine.
can.
It's okay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We might actually be in love, and it was a crazy. And then when that happens, you start thinking like, well, what do I want with my life, and what am I going to do, and should I do this, shouldn't I do this? And I think in some ways it made both of them go a little off the deep end, because Jeremy was willing to be with her and Rachel wanted to be able to be with Jeremy, but she just wasn't, and because she's doing a job that she feels terrible about. Satan's asshole. One of the best lines on TV, I think.
Should be a meme, by the way. This job is Satan's asshole.
Yeah, so they were friends, became more than friends, and he tried to get in touch with her, and which can't fault. Well, I guess you can. I don't know. I'm too nice. I'm very forgiving.
Very forgiving.
Yeah, she had to have her space,
Yeah.
and then he moved on.
Or back.
Yeah.
You know, because your Jeremy's now fiance is his ex-girl. It was a girlfriend.
He was dating her before.
Right. This Rachel thing happened. And
He broke up. I think he broke up, but I don't know. It hasn't officially been written. I think he kind of broke up, on again, off again, when he hooked up with Rachel.
yeah, they leave that a lot to the imagination, which I feel like kind of, makes the audience want to create their own story, which is always fun.
But not on again, off again, once fiance. The moral issue here for Jeremy.
When he hooks up with Rachel?
And the interesting thing to me is he hooks up with Rachel and says, I can't. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you're finally going to say, I'm engaged. It wasn't that.
Nope.
It wasn't that at all.
Nope. It's not about Lizzie. It's his fiance.
Which we knew. We've
That's
all
a good
talked
point,
about
actually.
that.
I didn't even really consider
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Wow,
I
where's
think
your
that's such
moral?
a great line.
I didn't even think of that.
I can't, because I know how this starts.
Yeah.
And I know how it ends. He doesn't feel guilt about Lizzie, because he wants to be with Rachel. He does, but he knows that she's bad for him.
Yeah.
Ooh, you guys need to tune in the next couple episodes.
Wow.
Oh man.
Listen, guys, us girls can be crazy,
No.
but at the same time, something else had to happen in Mexico besides Jeremy and the white wine that made her, like, literally, do Grand Theft Auto, ruin the entire show, basically, and go and spoil it, waste it. Like, something else had to be the catalyst for that. I'm sure you can't tell us, but...
I feel like a lot of it was her job. We see how her job gets to her, and I think it's clearly the end of that season. She had been doing whatever she was doing for that long, and I think it was like the perfect storm type of thing.
Broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
It's like,
And isn't it, maybe this is too esoteric, but Rachel, to do that job that she does, she has to remove herself mentally, emotionally, psychologically from it. So when she starts to feel for Jeremy after Mexico, when one feeling comes in, all the feelings come in.
I think you're spot on with that one.
And then even the next step, like when one feeling comes in and you start talking about your future, she says, well, wait a second. Future, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And it gets triple worse.
Is this what I want to do? Like, can I? Yeah. I'm with you.
I mean,
agree.
it seems as though she has two options in her mind. One is to continue to live the life she's living. The other is to go run off into the sunset with Jeremy to New York.
Yeah.
And like work on films and stuff.
You indie people.
Yeah, and she when she mentioned
up.
Vassar today, she was like, if my friend's from Vassar, and it was also a weird moment. I just want to touch upon it, and I wish we could have seen more of it. That bonfire with Jeremy, Rachel, and Adam all sitting there.
We shot so much fun stuff. I wish shows could just be 4 hours long. There really are so many good takes and they cut a lot.
Yeah, it did seem like that because I was like, whoa, this is crazy. The three of them together alone drinking in front of a bonfire. Like, I want to see more of that. Because you could tell that you two guys were uncomfortable, but she was drunk, I think. And that happened, all we saw was the psychiatrist, Wagerstein, say, I'm worried about Jeremy and you're drinking. And then, we see Jeremy and her drinking.
Yeah.
But I just really would like to see more of that. But there's too many
Actually, I don't think she's
characters.
drinking, though.
She rejected the drink.
Yeah, because I offer her a beer, and I don't.
But that was after.
I think she was in like a sounds kind of lame, but in just a natural high. Like she felt really good for once with what she did with her life, like in her job,
and to be spending time with Adam and Jeremy.
Yeah,
probably.
And she gets to see like. Where will the fire go?
Yeah, it's going somewhere because it's here. It was pretty amazing, and that scene in the barn, one of those scenes that I'm talking about that could have been on HBO. And
yeah, that was getting steamy and further. I didn't know how far it was going to be going.
We watched it. We all watched it together yesterday. We did like a cast tweeting thing, and I forgot how graphic it was. Where's your hand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I'm glad the show went there.
Sarah really pushed that scene. She really wanted us to, she wanted, because it's like, how are Rachel and Jeremy going to, for the first time on the show, hook up? They've had all this build up, and I can't be around you, and I can't be good. You're not traveling. That's great. Blah 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 blah. And if they are gonna do it, it's gonna be an explosion. And we pushed it as far as we could with and Lifetime's been awesome. They've been very. I mean, obviously you saw the scene. It's pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty,
I was more impressed actually with Lifetime. Not that this wasn't impressive, but the first scene when she's in the bunk and the first time at the start of the show, and pretty graphic porn on that thing. When that came up, I was like, that is actually maybe a little more impressive because that's straight simulation. Yeah. that's as explicit as it gets on TV.
I what I love about it is it's not necessarily. I mean, obviously it's graphic, but it's just honest. Like they're being more honest about the relationships that people have in this specific world, and I feel like that's what makes a show good. Any show, like as long as you're honest with. I mean, obviously you're going to be good actors and storytellers and blah blah blah, but one of the biggest flaws is when people aren't honest about the world that it's living in, and they're being very honest.
Right.
And it's refreshing, and I love it. I'm super stoked about the show and very proud of it.
Well, I think it comes across. We see that from all of the characters of even as good as they are and as bad as they are, you sort of. It's hard to judge, like even with Rachel, like she does a lot of bad things, but yet like I'm still a fan of Rachel because I feel like it's just a real person going through things, not just like the villain in
Life's
the show.
Tough.
Yeah, right.
Life is tough, and most people do things they don't want to do.
Right.
Yeah, they're just not on TV. You know, everyone makes mistakes. They're not on a TV show or on a reality show, whatever it is. So we really are getting an inside look in these characters. And everybody's human. That's kind of the awesome thing. The bad people can be good and the good people can be bad, like how we saw Chet today, in a way. To see him have a bit of humanity, it makes everybody kind of, it's an even playing field watching this show. The episode ended on 2 high points, which one we discussed the first one for Rachel. Rachel's really just
hey, she's living in a grip truck.
I know, that's true.
You gotta have some fun.
Will she ever leave the grip truck the whole season? That's what I'm really wondering. Tune in.
So, we find out that like her heart is really with Jeremy, and her heart and other things, But then I just wanted to quickly talk about the Mary thing at the end, because I was like, that is freaking scary. She's freaking me out. So is it because her pills got switched and she started drinking that all of a sudden she's like, here I am? I'm like, who?
And also she's just getting it. She's falling into the show.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. Like, these people just go, it's like an exaggeration of yourself with any reality show, I think.
I guess. I mean,
That's what I mean, even when was it Jay? Someone said, it was in regard to something else. They said the show is a mirror. It's just going to show these people for what they are. The pills, I was kind of questioning too, okay, so what were the pills exactly doing compared to why now is she okay to drink and also having this, unique personality that she's bringing on. But as a viewer watching a show, it's like, where are we going to go with this and what is going to be happening?
Am I the only one who's curious, and you probably know a little bit more than we do, but just another page or two. You're on page 43, we're on page 40. Am I the only one who thought that Mary, about the abuse and all that stuff, might not be telling the truth?
now that you just said that, as you were saying it, I was like, I know what he's saying, and wow, you might be right.
She's got, I mean, you know this better than us. You cast people for a reason. You cast looks for a reason. Mm-hmm. She's got an evil look. They make her look sinister in a way. I don't think she's the most evil person on the show by far, but they make her look a certain way for a certain reason. That show at the end sealed it for me. She had this really sexy scene, but there was a real dark undertone to it. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe she's not coming all the way honest with us here.
The next episode will answer that question. Mm-hmm. Not kidding.
No.
Okay.
Can we have you on again to vindicate me every week?
Hey, you were right.
This is one.
I do the opposite for him.
Can we get a sound clip of that? Jesse, can you record that? Just so we have a clip of you saying that I'm right.
You were right.
Okay.
You were right. You were right. You were right.
Oh my god.
Well, that basically concludes tonight's episode. Let's get into some predictions.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Talk about sinister.
You sit and watch, Josh, and then we're going to look at your face as we
Oh,
say
that's
the
good.
predictions.
Okay, yeah. I gotta kind of lean.
I just made my prediction. Mary's lying. I feel better about it because of what, your reaction. So
I think
you.
it will be answered. I'm not saying which way it will be answered, but I think
All right.
you will feel more sated after this next episode.
I can take that.
I think this is a longer. It's not. I think most of us might have this prediction. I think Jeremy and Rachel are. I think Lizzie's going to be out of the picture by the end of the season. I think it's Jeremy and Rachel. That is it. They're going to be together, not Adam. I think you'll give in. I think you'll see the good side again. You'll get into whatever happened in Mexico. That attraction. It's just too much to be. Unless you guys aren't going to be working together. But if you're working together all the time and you feel that way, and it's happened before, I think it will happen again. What do you think?
I think you guys are gonna like the show. You really are. It's cool.
We love
I'm so happy
this
to be
show.
on a good show.
It's really an amazing freaking show. I think that Rachel is going to be torn between Adam and Jeremy. She already is. I think Adam, to her, is basically her job, how it's blocking her in, like he was with his hands, when they were kissing. Yeah.
Up against the
wall. It's like that's how she feels. She feels trapped in her job, but she likes it. And she might have that same kind of relationship with Adam, but at the end of the day, Jeremy is obviously the one that's better for her. But the show needs to go on, so they can't run in the sunset together to produce indie films. Like, it's just not going to happen. I want to see definitely Mary turn crazy, because I liked that. Like, it was kind of, it freaked me out. I was like, what? And I'm kind of excited for that, because I don't like that the girls are just boring dolls, like they are people too. And whether they're crazy or good or what have you, I'm just very excited to see that. All right, guys, where can we find everyone on the interweb, especially you, Mr. Josh Kelly?
Well, there's a post office box in Maine, where I used to live, and you can, if you want to email me, it's electric mail.
What is your carrier pigeon's
carrier pigeon
chimney?
How about some Twitters or Instagrams of the world?
Just joking, JK.
He's a funny guy.
Is that really your Twitter? That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty good. I wanted to do another one, but it was taken, so I couldn't do just joshing JK.
Oh, that would be
but just joking JK is Twitter and Instagram. I recently made them both the same. It was
Yeah.
for her request, pretty much.
And you guys can find me at Nicholas Grava, Twitter and Instagram.
I'm at Bobby DeMuro on Twitter.
And you can find me, Sam Davidson, at samdavidsonentertainment.com, and on Twitter and Instagram at SamD43, and of course AfterBuzz TV at AfterBuzz TV on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the works. We will see you guys next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Can I?
Buzz
you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.